When I first heard about financial independence and early retirement, I thought it was just for rich people, just for other people, people who could invest. But now the more I learn about it, the more I see it is for everybody. No matter how much you're making, no matter where you live, you can put yourself in a position to reach early retirement in 5 years, in 10 years, if you're willing to make some sacrifices and some choices. So I kind of wanted to give today some like baby steps of how to get started and how to really like catapult yourself into financial independence. So the first step for me anyways is going to be your savings rate. Now the goal is going to be to get that to 50%. You might be at 0 right now and think that's impossible, but it's really possible if you start making steps. It's not an all at once thing. It is a process. It is a series of choices deciding what is important to you. Do you want financial independence or do you want to stay where you are, and are you willing to make a few sacrifices, small sacrifices, in order to get there? So it doesn't really matter how much you make. I know people who make a lot more than me for a lot longer, but since they do not make any decisions about their finances, they don't talk about their finances, they don't work on them, they don't invest, they're stuck in the same boat that they are in right now. So reaching financial independence is really all about your savings rate and getting that as high as possible. My savings rate is around 75% right now, with a goal to get it higher. So whether that's earning more or spending less or investing so that you can make money off of that, the whole goal is to get up to at least 50% to start off with, and then 75%. Actually, let me show you guys the math so you can see why your savings rate is so important. So this is a calculator. I'll throw this down in the description if you guys want to check it out, but pretty much it shows the importance of savings rate, and it's not really as important how much you make as how much you end up keeping at the end of the day. So obviously this is not including taxes and everything else. It's just kind of round numbers so you can get an idea. Let's look here. If you're spending $25,000 a year and you're making $50,000 a year after taxes, and you're at a 50% savings rate, then you'll be able to retire in 16.6 years. So this is talking about the 4% rule. So pretty much if you are saving that 50% and investing it at 8% over that time, then you'll have enough money built up that you'll be able to live off that money, 4% of that, indefinitely. And that's pretty much the 4% rule in a nutshell. I did a whole video on that, but we're not going to jump into it here. So you can do that in 16 years. So if you're 20, you could retire by 36, doably, if you are saving 50% of your income since the time you're 20 years old. That's why saving money is so important. But if you're like most of America and you're saving 5% of your income or nothing at all, then you'll retire in 65 years. So pretty much you're never gonna retire. Or maybe you save 10%, which is what a lot of people recommend. And while that's gonna be good while you're in retirement at 65, that's not really what we're talking about here with extreme early retirement in your 20s or 30s. But see, if you come down the other scale and you're saving 90% of your income, you'll be able to retire in 3 years because your expenses are obviously really low and you'll have all that money that you'll be able to live off of. So it all comes down to how much you're able to save, what that is, and then making sure that you're investing what you do save, and it's not just sitting in an account, and that's for a different step. Number 2. So this might actually be number 1, but it is to continue to learn about financial independence. Submerge yourself in it, even just for a few months. Listen to a couple books. Right now, I'm listening to a book right now on Elon Musk, but I've listened to tons of different financial independence books, and usually one a week, one every other week, something like that. Just continually have something going on in the car, whether it's podcasts or an audiobook or something like that. And just continuing to learn can make a huge difference. Like, because you learn one thing, it can save you thousands and tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. And also it's good just to stay encouraged and keep listening to other people's success stories and other people's tips so that you don't start to get discouraged or start to get, forget about it and go back to your old ways. It helps to continue to submerge yourself in it, especially for the first few months where you can learn a ton of really good information that can start paying off right away. So after you're learning and you're starting to find out how much you're spending, it's time to start taking action off of that and cutting down your expenses. Obviously, you want to start with the big expenses first, if you can, your housing, your transportation, your food, your recurring bills, things like that. If possible, to house hack or to rent hack or to move just to a smaller place can even make a big difference if that adds up over years. Also, not buying a new car and buying something used, as I've talked about before. And then also things that are recurring bills. Maybe you have too many subscriptions or too many just high bills, like your electricity bill that you've never even looked at and it might be really high, or your cell phone bill can just really climb. And if you don't keep an eye on those things and start to take action to cut them back, then that can really prevent you from saving up enough money to be able to start investing. A lot of people want to be financially independent. They want to be a real estate investor. They just want to be any type of investor because they think it, like kind of sounds cool nowadays, or to be an entrepreneur. But they don't realize that it takes a lot of time and effort up front, cutting down your expenses so that you can have money and time to start investing. Like, it took me quite a few years to save up for my first house hack, and that was living very frugally. I was living with my parents at the time and just saving everything and making as much as I could, working extra. It just really takes time to build up that first $1,000, that first $10,000. But if you don't take this now, then you're gonna be 30 or 40 and still be in the same boat, because whatever you make, you're spending the same amount and you're not saving up money. And you're really gonna regret it down the road if you're just living for right now and not worrying about later. We're not talking about worrying about later as in when you're 55 and you can't enjoy it anymore, or you're 65 and can't enjoy it anymore. We're talking about when you're 30, when you're 35. Then you're free to travel the world, to spend time with your families, to quit your job and pursue your passions, to start a business, whatever it is for you. That's what you're sacrificing for. And by sacrificing, all you're doing is just trying to find a more efficient way to live, cutting down to the essential thing. Maybe even it's just practicing minimalism and not being consumeristic, and finding more fun in experiences and spending more money in experiences and less money on things. Just things like that can make a huge difference. So as your expenses are getting lower, you're also gonna wanna start paying off your credit card debt if you have any, or any type of high interest debt. Anything over like 8% is really bad, and that's draining a lot of money from you. Because let's say you're investing at the stock market and you're earning 20% or 10% or something like that. You're gonna be really ecstatic. But if you're losing that every single month, that is huge. So paying off high interest consumer debt is a definite must. It's definitely like treat it like an emergency and start putting everything you can into paying that off. So people like Dave Ramsey might say that all debt is bad and things like that, and you should pay off everything and have no debt. Well, that might be good for some people. For me, that is not necessarily the case, because let's say I am putting extra on my mortgage payments and I pay off my debt sooner and that debt was at 4%. Well, what if instead of doing that, I earned with that same money 8%? That's gonna be a lot better, right? So if you can learn to invest and make a lot more than 4% with your money, then paying off low interest debt doesn't really make a lot of sense unless it is a necessity or it'll give you a lot of peace of mind or something like that. But just in general, to be most efficient, pay off the high interest loan debt. And if you can earn more than you're losing in the stock market, then it's not as much as an emergency, and it really just depends on your situation. And there is good debt. For instance, if you have a multifamily, you might want to have debt on that because you're going to earn more on your money, because I'm only putting in 10 or 20,000 into this property and then the bank's paying for the rest of it, as opposed to if I put in 100,000, I might earn a little bit more, but I had to put a lot more into it. Maybe I'd rather get 5 properties and instead of 1 property that's completely paid off. It's totally up to you guys, but not all debt is bad. So obviously it's not just about spending less, you also have to earn more. Now for me, I do that by doing side hustles and then trying to get raises or maybe promotions at work. It depends on what you do for work, but maybe switching to a different job or just trying to make yourself valuable by doing extra training and things like that. And then trying to get a promotion at work can make a huge difference. Also, a side hustle can be great if you're able to take your hobby and make money at it. For me, I love studying and learning about finances. If I could teach that and do photography with YouTube, that's like, I have a blast making these things. It is a lot of work and I really don't get paid that much, but maybe eventually I'll be able to make a decent amount of money off of it. We will see. If you want to support me, smash like. But really, if there's something that you really enjoy doing, maybe try teaching it somewhere. Try starting a class, or whatever it is. You can teach stuff online anywhere. Maybe it's for you, it's something else. Maybe you love dogs and you just want to walk dogs 3 times a week and earn an extra 50 or $100 a week. That's fine. Whatever it is that you really enjoy, try to make a side hustle out of that, and that can really help you out on your path to financial independence, and maybe even turn into your full-time job if you're that type of person and that's what you want to do. And as we're doing all of these, it's really important to decide where we want to invest. For me, I love real estate. I'm passionate about real estate. For me, it's really fun and I enjoy it, and it's easy, at least it has been so far. But a lot of people, they don't want to do real estate. They don't want to be a landlord. They don't want to go look at houses and repair stuff, and they're not handy. It's not for everybody. So finding your way of doing it. Maybe it's investing in the stock market. Maybe something like VTSAX, which is like the Vanguard Total Stock Money Market, Total Stock. Where's my phone? Pretty much it's the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. It is a mutual fund, very, very low cost. So unlike some of these funds which charge you 1 or 2%, it is charging you fractions of a percent. So it's going to be a lot cheaper, and then you're also going to be invested in like all of America and not just certain stocks, which are very, very hard to pick. And also, if you're buying something, you keep an eye on it, and then it goes up one day and you try to buy more because you think it's going to go higher, and then it starts to go down, and then you sell it before it keeps going down, but then it goes up. It's really hard to beat the stock market. So just betting on all of America to continue to grow is probably a very safe bet. And it's one of the easiest ways to start investing. And there's tons of other ways to invest. You can invest in people, in businesses, whatever you choose. But it is important to have your strategy and to start investing early and often. Yeah, that's really all it comes down to. It's right. It's spending less, finding out what you're spending on, cutting those down, start tracking your income and your expenses so you know what your savings rate is and you have that goal that you're headed towards. And then it's earning more with your side hustle or with investments or just working a side job so that you can start to build up from your savings and this extra income, start building up something that you can invest, and then taking that money and investing it in either the stock market or in real estate or whatever other way you choose to do. It can be in anything really, but it's much more important to just choose something and just go for it. Don't wait until hopefully the stock market goes down 3% next month. Like, the chances of you timing it are really, really difficult. And it's much more important to just start investing and start thinking about long-term, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and not like 6 months from now. So it's really important to just start investing early and often. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got some value out of it. If you did, drop a like. Feel free to subscribe. I do this all the time. We're gonna have some really, really cool content coming up in the next few weeks, and I hope you guys enjoy it. That is all I got.